This is Pioneer Public, a segment where we introduce the most interesting people on campus to their community. The Globe's Carly Bonk has this profile.
Hey Point Park, I'm Carly Bonk, co-features editor at The Globe, and this is Pioneer Public. I'm joined in studio by Associate Professor Jason McCune. Thank you for joining us today, Jason.
Thanks for having me.
And you are an associate professor in acting here at Point Park, correct?
Correct. I'm an associate professor in the conservatory, so I end up teaching a lot of different classes.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about your acting career and how that led you to Point Park here.
I've been an actor since I graduated from my alma mater, Hanover College, in '92. I left and went to Chicago, started working as an actor, and I started taking classes when I was in Chicago. Left there, started a theater in Cincinnati, helped to start a theater in Cincinnati, which is now the Cincinnati Shakespeare Company. And I worked at a couple of the places in the Midwest, and then went out to Los Angeles and started working out there on television and in film. And then I auditioned for the MFA program here at Point Park and was accepted, and that was in 2005, and I've been in Pittsburgh ever since. And then I started teaching here at Point Park in 2009. And during that time when I came, first arrived in Pittsburgh, there was already a film and television scene here, but it started really blowing up after I got here. So it provided me with quite a few opportunities to audition and book film and television work here. Actually, I booked more film and television work here than I booked when I was in LA.
You mentioned that you've worked on some projects so far. Tell us a little bit about some of the film or television shows that you've worked on.
Recently, the most recent thing I did was this past summer I shot a Pennsylvania Lottery commercial, and I worked a week on a television series called Gone, starring Chris Noth and Danny Pino. Before that, I've done quite a few local films. Progression was a local feature that I enjoyed working on. I worked on Fathers and Daughters with Russell Crowe. I worked on Unstoppable with Tony Scott and Denzel Washington and Chris Pine. And I worked on Outsiders, which was a series that a lot of local talent worked on. I had the good fortune to have a recurring character on that. It's just been a sort of a wellspring of great work, satisfying work.
And you mentioned earlier with your work on Unstoppable, you had an interesting behind-the-scenes kind of role.
Yeah, my on-screen, I'm in the movie for about 5 seconds, but I worked 30 days on the film as the off-camera actor, and it afforded me a great opportunity to find out, to get the experience of working on a big-budget film set with a big-budget director in Tony Scott, who does a lot of action films, but not have the pressure put on me as an actor with a lead role or a supporting role in being on camera. So Denzel Washington likes to work with actors when he's working on a scene where he has to be on the telephone or on the radio, which they were a lot in this particular film, and he wanted an actor working on him or working with him on those scenes. Instead of having a production assistant, he wanted somebody to work off of, and so he insisted on having an actor. So I ended up doing that and working about 30 days on the movie. So anytime Denzel Washington or Chris Pine are on the radio or on the telephone, I was on the other end acting the scene with them.
You mentioned earlier that you moved from LA to Pittsburgh. Is finding content to audition for one of your most difficult challenges as an actor?
Yeah. Whereas when stuff does come here, I usually am able to get in to audition for the things that I'm right for. But the number of productions that come here is certainly a lot less than a place like a Chicago or a Los Angeles. We're beholden to the film and television industry in Pittsburgh is beholden to the Pennsylvania film and tax, or the film tax credit, and that is beholden to the budget getting passed. So the budget just got passed and signed. The spending bill got signed, but it cost the local economy about $100 million in there was 2 films and a television show that decided not to film here. And so that was opportunities for me and all of the other people in the acting community. I think that you have more and more people locally that are producing their own films and finding outlets for those films as well. So that's been, I think, a really great byproduct of that.
And speaking of outlets for film and television, nowadays it seems like there's so many ways to get your content out there, whether it be streaming, over television, or on the big screen.
Sure, on the internet, yeah.
Yeah, and how would you say, from an actor's perspective, that's changed your work?
Well, again, I think it's like, just like with those film and television shows coming here, the more outlets there are, I think there end up being more opportunities because there's people producing more content for the increased number of outlets. So, for example, Mindhunter just premiered its first season on Netflix, and they shot all of that here, almost all of it here last year. And so that affords a lot of the local talent more opportunities. And with a digital platform like that, they can basically create whatever kind of content they want, and it has the high production value of a big budget major motion picture, but then it's got the depth of something that's episodic, and so that they can really explore story and character, and that's what we as actors, that's what we love to do.
How would you say that acting has helped your teaching, or vice versa?
Well, I think that as an actor, being able to communicate with an audience, whether the audience is 1 or 100 or 1,000, I think that translates really well to being a teacher, because ultimately what we're doing is communicating thoughts and ideas and facts and figures and trying to get people to understand those things. So being clear in our thought and in our ability to communicate, I think, is very important for an actor and for a teacher. So I had to learn how to become a teacher. You know, I think that if I weren't an actor, I wouldn't be as effective as a teacher. And I think that as far as the teaching affecting my acting, it makes me realize, you know, it allows me to step back and realize, okay, what I need to work on. You know, watching students grapple with material, or with if we go out to see a play, or if we go to the symphony, and I read what they write about taking that in, I think that informs me as an actor when I do end up working, whether it's in front of the camera or on stage, in my ability to communicate story to an audience. And so it keeps me mindful of that when I do go out and work that way, that you always have to be focused outward. I think that's the other thing too, both with teaching and with acting, is your focus has to be on the other person, not on yourself.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to speak with us today. I'm sure students are really excited to see this perspective of you, not just as a professor, but as a professional actor.
Well, I thank you for the opportunity.
No problem. Thanks again.
Mm-hmm.
For more Pioneer Public profiles, visit our website at ppuglobe.com. Thank you.
Connect with the Globe on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at PPU Globe, and always online at ppuglobe.com.